Yes.
So we ended up within this deal, she had a client, Ramon, that she'd been doing short sales for, and he had this park. And for the longest time, keeps telling me, hey Casey, you should go run my park. And this is even before the market crashed. And that was just like, I got a construction company. Why am I gonna go run an RV park? That makes no sense. So we just laugh about it. Well, things are moving along. This is after the crash. And he's actually selling the park. And I'm doing my office boy stuff. I'm faxing paperwork up to an agent up in the mountains, helping out with the deal. We actually didn't have the deal listed. We're just helping out because he's a client. And so as I'm doing this, I told him, dude, I'm gonna be looking at your books. So just so you know, I'm gonna see, what you're doing, because I'm really interested in this. And as I'm faxing this stuff, looking at this stuff, this deal does not make sense. He's asking way too much money for it. It doesn't make enough to cover the debt on this thing. But fair, what the heck, if somebody's gonna buy it, not my responsibility. I'm just a guy faxing paperwork. So about a month goes by, no action's going on. I see him across the street. He owns a property across the street from us. And I go talk to him and I go, dude, what's going on at the campground? He goes, well, the seller billed. I go, yeah, I would have too. I'm sorry, the buyer billed. I always get that back. The buyer billed. I said, yeah, I would have done that too. He goes, what? I go, yeah, you asked too much money. It makes no sense what you're trying to ask for. He goes, well, what's it worth? And I said, well, if I bought it, I'd only give you this much. He goes, okay, do you want to buy my campground? He reached out, grabbed my hand, like shaking my hand, do you want to buy my campground? And I go, well, at that price, that sounds interesting.
But you said, oh, now I don't have to run it.
Yeah, now I don't have to run
buy it.
Yeah, I can buy it. So I'm like, okay, cool. This sounds like fun. I've got to figure out something to do. I'm still just an office boy. I need a thing. And so I go in the house and I tell Terry, we're gonna buy a campground. And she instantly says, we're not buying Ramon's campground. Because she knows Ramon. She knows Ramon's style. He has a definite style. And so at about that time in our life, we were also looking at, we had this plan, kids are gonna be out of college pretty soon, and we're looking at retirement. And one of the ways we're gonna retire is to RV full-time. We already had this plan. So I said, let's go see what we're saying no to. And so talked her into going up the hill. It was an hour and a half up the hill. We owned a Prius back then, so it wasn't gonna cost us anything. It was a nice Sunday drive. It was, what was it?
It was in
March, maybe? Yeah, March.
It was in March.
There was some snow on the ground up there, but the roads are dry, so no problem for a Prius. And she told me,
we are not buying that campground, and do not try and talk me into it when we get there.
Yeah.
All I wanna do, I'm here to look at it and tell you no.
so I said, fine, let's go see what we're saying no to. Because I didn't want to later end up being a full-time RVer and going to that thing and going, holy crap, we should have bought this. No, I did not want to go through that. And so let's go look at it. So we get up there, we're bopping in and out of all the buildings. There's nobody there except for the manager. And I could see him looking out of his windows every once in a while, but I guess because he saw a red Prius, he was like, yeah, these are tree huggers. These aren't like thieves. He's typing us by our car, I guess. And so we're there for about 45 minutes going in and out. And then we're finally leaving. And, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the whole place was vacant and snow covered. But as we're leaving, I missed a slide. My bad. Oh well, and it doesn't matter. She tells me to stop the car. And
I said, oh darn, stop the car.
Yeah, stop the car. And I'm like, what's going wrong? And did you leave your phone in a bathroom or something? And she goes, no, and she says these 4 words that as we were flipping properties, because we flipped dozens of properties, every time we look at a property, there were 4 words. If she said these 4 words, we're in 100%, this is happening, she's bought in 100%, and that was, I think that slide right there. That place needs us. Every time she says that, that's it. And I'm like, yes.
And he's trying not to be excited because he doesn't want to show a bunch of emotions because then, he won.
So she said that place needs us, but there's an error on this slide. It should be 50,000, not $50. My bad. Me and AI had a problem today. But anyway, she said, yeah, I'm in, let's do that, but you're gonna tell them you're gonna give them 50,000 less, and our CPA has to approve the books. cause I'm kind of a novice at, doing this underwriting thing. We had just a month before gone to a, real estate buying seminar, by a guy named Scott Shield. He's still around. If you ever run across him, definitely check him out. He has an excellent program. He teaches zero down. He teaches all sorts of buying strategies for commercial. I know a lot of people are in here in Pace Morby's community, but.
And so are we, by the way.
Yeah, we are too. We're owners club also. But know this, there are other things to learn out there. And if you ever run across Scott Shield, this is where I learned zero down with Scott Shield. It cost me $5.99 for a 5-day seminar. Yeah, it's a good.
We went to Atlanta, Georgia, because to
Yeah.
go visit him and
So-
learn that program.
So she said, let's get the books approved by the CPA, and I'm like, okay, cool. So turn it over to the CPA, and she calls me back. And I already knew there were problems with the books. There were these 3 things, but I told Terry, don't tell Auntie, not an aunt, but there's an Antoinette. And don't tell Auntie anything is wrong with the books. So Auntie calls and she goes, Casey, I don't think this is a good deal. She's been our CPA through all of our flips, all of our rehabs, all this stuff. And I go, well, what's wrong with it? She goes, well, there's this weird car loan, and there's this attorney's fees and some grant money thing. And I go, yeah, that's his brand new truck. That lays with him. The attorney fee was some mess he got himself in, and that's his fees. Those are add backs. If you ever do underwriting, add backs, things that stay with the seller. And then also the same thing with the grant money. I said, none of those go with the property. And she goes, well, I think you can do it. I said, call Terry. Let Terry do it. So she called Terry, and I talked to Ramon, and he agreed to the 50,000 less. And then we decided we're gonna do this as a master lease. Now, who knows what a master lease is? Nobody? A couple people? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Master leases are great vehicles for purchasing. We're not gonna go into big about master leases, but I'd love to talk to you about that another time. I love master leases for purchases. And so I presented that to him because we wanted to go up there. We're coming into season. The park is a mess. It needs to get in shape. This is like, we're it's coming into March. We got until June until people start showing up because it's a seasonal park. It's up in Arnold, California, which nobody knows. Anybody knows where Arnold is? You do. That's the you already told me that. You're 47. I keep track of people for the last 8 years of how many people actually know where Arnold is. Everybody knows where Lake Tahoe is, right?
Yeah.
On the map, Yosemite, right?
Right.
Arnold's smack dab in between them, saving 6,000 feet. So we got to get up there, get this thing in shape. So we don't even have
Pine
our
needles everywhere,
Oh,
the
yeah.
grounds are just a mess, all the bathrooms are a mess. I told him the bathrooms could never open again the way they were.
Yeah.
So and then they had 4 stalls for women and 8 stalls for men. It's like, are you
It's just
kidding
wrong.
me? It's like, what's wrong with this picture? So we fixed that. So they thought they could just take the bathrooms apart. Well, they ended up going through the floor a couple of times and had to rebuild everything. So that was happening while we're trying to get the park ready for occupancy. And then on top of that, we had a clubhouse, and that clubhouse was filled with everybody's throwaways from home. They brought every broken piece of furniture, every piece of glassware, everything that they didn't want anymore, came into that room. And I'm like, this is like a garage sale gone bad. What happened here? I'm like, it's like everything goes. So the manager told us that the people that were the least people there, brought all that stuff, and that some of them would probably want their things back. So we sent out a notice to everybody. All your stuff is in the clubhouse. It's all been sorted. You can go and collect whatever you want, but it's all out of here in a week. So that's how much time you have to clear this stuff out, because it was just that disgusting mess. And no kitchen in there. They had everything on open shelving. So that was like, no, that can't be. It was just filth everywhere. And so, anyway.
Yeah, so we go up, we take it over, we're starting to do the cleanup, operating it. And I come home one day and she says, we need to go for a walk. I'm like, okay, what's going on? She goes, no, she grabs these papers, which I found out later were all of the leases. So they did an interesting strategy up there. They did lease sites that they leased for a year at a time. So people would basically take their RV up there, they could leave it on the site year round, and that was their mountain cabin on wheels. And that was one of the buying factors that we liked a lot, because all of these leases were about to renew right at the beginning of the season. So that was gonna give us a big chunk of money to get through the beginning of the season until we start getting our nightly rates. Great way if you ever do a park. These things are a good idea. So she's going, okay, where are the lease sites? And I go, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. I got a funky map, and she's got a list of things, and we're walking along, and she goes, okay, I got site 18, there's nobody here. She goes, okay, that's yours. And we're going through, and we actually only had about half of them. We're missing about 10 leases. And I'm like, what's going on here? This is kind of
10 leases equals about $30,000.
Well,
Yeah, a lot of money.
A lot of money. And so it's basically vacant, and there should be some people there, and we're relying on this money. And she goes, we got a problem. And I go, yeah, what does that amount to? Because she's the brains, she's the money, she's the bank. And I go, okay, what's that gonna cost us? She goes, well, she just said 30, but she said,
I want 50.
50. She goes,
He
yeah.
lied to us.
Yeah.
I want 50.
I want 50. And I said, okay, I'll call Ramon. So I call Ramon and says, I'll be up there tomorrow. So he comes up, and I do the same thing with him she did with me. We go around these, say, where's this one? Okay. So he's holding a bunch of them and says, those people aren't here. And actually, one person was leaving right then too. He's just like, Nancy, you're leaving. And she goes, yeah, I told you about that last month. Oh, he goes, oh yeah, I remember. So I said, well, Ramon, what's going on here? And he tells me this thing that you really never want to hear from a seller is, yeah. He really said that. He said, oh no.
Out loud.
Out loud. He goes, I gave you the wrong set of books. And I'm like, wait, what?
oh, jeez. Wow.
And he goes, so what do we have to do here? I said, well, that's gonna cost $50,000. I said, we were relying on this $50,000 extra to start the season, so at close, you're gonna have to leave $50,000 in escrow for us. And his heart didn't beat, he didn't breathe half a breath. He reached out and grabbed my hand, and he said, okay, let's do it, just call escrow, make the changes. So I was like, he's all in.
Wow.
And this is part of the way these things go. The other thing we find out is, I know about a few weeks later, escrow.
Well, one of the things that I insisted upon was that we would get a commercial title company.
Yeah.
We're not going through a residential title company. You go to a commercial title company, they sort out all the stuff, and so you go bulk sale on that, so you make sure all the debt is cleared against that property. So we're not assuming any of his debt. That goes with him too. And so we did that, and so I told the title company that he was leaving $50,000 in escrow, and I had Casey call the lender and make sure our first lender was gonna be okay with it, and he said, I don't care, you've got enough equity. He had done a BPO on the property, broker price opinion, with 2 different brokers, and knew he was covered. And then we had a second that was subordinating to the first. So they were an existing second that subordinated to the first. So he said, plus I have the second that I can wipe out, so I don't care. And so we got to leave the $50,000 in escrow. And were you telling about that, or did I jump ahead?
No, you're good.
Okay, so, anyway, you're just.
We need to work on our routine a little bit.
So anyway, on that situation, the title company, the second position buyer, or the second position loan was thrilled to be left in second position. She didn't want her money.
Yeah.
She was looking for
She-
monthly income.
She liked the payment.
And she trusted us, brand new at this, more than she trusted the guy that had been running the park. And she was always concerned that she wouldn't get her money from him. And so we ensured that she'd get her money no matter what. And so that's how that went along.
Yeah, and also the fun thing that happened was when we found out why he was so happy to go ahead and make that $50,000 adjustment was, a few weeks later, and talking to the title company or escrow, and she goes, "He is so lucky." And I'm like, "What's going on?" She goes, "He was going into foreclosure.
Wow.
If you didn't buy this, if he wasn't able to make another payment, he was gonna go foreclosure." And we also found out at that time was the primary on it was his son. His son had to sign for him to get the park, and he was not letting his son go into foreclosure. And so he was more than happy to deal on the thing. Now, if I had known going in he was going into foreclosure, it would have been the same offer. There would have been no difference. It was a good deal for him. We paid off all of his debt.
A good deal for us.
And a good deal for us also.
Right.
So we went to Scott Shield, we learned about this thing called Zero Down, buying commercial, which was, oh yeah, let me get caught up here, yeah. So we learned about this thing called Zero Down, and we're at Scott Shield's seminar, I'm thinking, that's just like some catchphrase BS thing. You can't buy commercial properties with no money. You gotta, cause I'm used to regular residential, right? You gotta have it down to get a loan. You got at least, 3% with an FHA. Maybe 10, maybe 20. It's like, commercial, no way, zero down. Well, we bought it, zero down, and we got paid 50 at escrow, and we also got our EMD down back.
So he actually paid us
He paid us.
$51,000 to buy
Wow.
that park. So that was a pretty cool deal. And this happened before, unfortunately, Pace decided to blow up RV parks.
Yeah.
So now they're, trying to get $1 million for something that's worth 500. And so you have to wait for that to sort itself out, a bit. And so we're still working through that,
So RV parks, they're a great niche. They truly are. Used to be before the surge, now there's only 17,000 RV parks. That's our rough number that we always talk about. And there's probably 10,000 people trying to buy them right now. And
but wait, there's also Thousand Trails.
Oh, yeah.
That has a membership service that you can stay in their parks. By buying a membership, you can stay in the parks year round for no extra money. So you're competing against that. You're competing against KOA, who also has a membership park. You're competing against Yogi Bear, that also has membership parks. All of these parks take out of that 17,000 that everybody thinks there are. In that, so Thousand Trails has 97 parks, or at least they had somewhere
up to
around.
over 100 now.
And then they have what's called Encore Parks. And so Encore Parks, are in their portfolio as well. So they do that a little differently, but that's still a membership park and they still own it.
Yeah.
So they're not selling any of their assets. So that 17,000 number goes down to, I would say you're probably around 9 to 11,000, not anywhere close to 17.
Yeah. You also got
So-
Sun Communities. There's just a bunch of big franchise parks.
Big
out there.
franchise
Yeah.
parks.
So, in saying that, it doesn't mean that it's not still worth hunting.
Right.
But this is a hunt that you're gonna do where before the big surge, we were just coming out of the COVID virus. During COVID, everybody got in an RV because they could work remotely and started traveling with their whole family. And you got, husband, wife, 2-3 kids, 4 dogs, a cat, and a little fish. Homeschooling, travel around the country. Well, it starts getting annoying. And then the conversation starts being, well, we make a lot of money, why don't we just buy a park? And a lot of people did buy parks that were traveling because they could. They're making, good $250 total income for a household. This is a typical remote worker thing. And so prices went up while those guys were buying parks, and then they were just coming down, and then this YouTube guy named Pace, and now they're going back up again.
Yeah.
So, as they were coming down, we could legitimately underwrite about 50 parks before we found one that was worth putting a letter of intent in on. Now, I'm looking at probably 200.
Wow.
It's a lot, because the numbers just aren't there. There isn't enough meat left on the bone at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so you just have to keep searching. The best thing to do if you're looking at getting into parks is phone calls and visit parks. I tell everybody, start off wherever you live, bigger day trips, and spend a day driving to every park you can get to, and go meet the manager, go meet the owner.
One more thing though, when you go to those parks, you are not telling them, I'm here scouting your park to buy it. Don't do that. You're just going to visit the park and check it out to maybe stay there. Don't go in there like I'm gonna come in and buy it. We just had a deal blow up that we were in the midst of negotiating. Everything was pretty much set. We were going to have an extension or get an extension. And it was like a 2-week extension. That's all we needed to finish this. Somebody goes up to that area, sits in a restaurant, talking about how they're gonna buy this park that's right up the road, and making a big announcement in this restaurant. The restaurant guy goes, they're selling that park? He calls up his friend who owns the park, says, I wanna buy that park. Guess what happened to that deal? It went to the friend.
Yeah. We didn't get our
And
extension.
We didn't get our extension, and then that person couldn't buy it, and somebody else bought that park. So it's really sad when things like that happen. And so when you go into the park, you're scouting the park to see what the park is like. You're not going to the owner. That's not the appropriate place to start to talk to them about that. They may not even be trying to sell that park. They haven't even thought about selling that park. And you're going in, and then they're mad. And then they're even more standoffish. So it's like, that's not appropriate. So go in to see the park and investigate
So
that.
it's doing that and making phone calls. There's a lot of parks that are listed. Who's in Morgan's community? There's a whole bunch of people, okay, good deal. So Pace was just doing a Zoom the other day where he's talking to an agent, and he ran into the same thing we all run into. Most of these agents, now I know there's a lot of agents in here, but commercial agents are a lot of times failed single-family agents, because they're not making any money in single family, and they think, oh, well, I'll just go do commercial, because all I can do is sell one thing a year, and I make as much money. Well, they still have to learn how to sell it. And so you run into a lot of these people that have no idea what's going on. That was evident in Pace's call the other day with an agent. She didn't know half the sites weren't actually operating in this park. I mean, things an agent should know.
They had X's, black X's on the boxes saying no power.
Yeah.
It's like,
when you look at the pictures,
you don't drive
see
through
this.
yourself and find
Yeah.
out. And
No.
it's like,
And this is what you're gonna be up against. So
I have to say one other thing, if anybody was on the Zoom that Pace did, where he was talking to a broker, a commercial broker who was just mad at the whole community for calling him up and doing this whole thing. And the broker said, Pace, I'll work with you and Casey Savage. I'm working
That's
with
it.
nobody else in your community.
Wow.
So that was amazing. He wasn't even on the call. Casey knew nothing about it. And so I was getting phone calls telling me, did you hear Pace with the commercial guy? And neither one of us were on that call. So shout out to Casey on that.
That's right.
well, it was nice because Pace texted me the next day and told me And he actually shared the audio of the call. I was like, dang, I love Pace, I love giving him a bad time. I've actually told him, dude, get out of RV parks, get out of RV parks. You're done, move on. Go push co-living. Co-living is a good thing to do. Go push multifamily, that type of thing. But the reality, back to this is a good niche to get into. Just know that you're gonna be patient. Just know that you're gonna have to learn underwriting if you don't already know it. AI, there's a lot of good AI underwriting tools out there. Underwriting a park is an awful lot like underwriting a multifamily. You don't have as many windows, doors, toilets, all this other stuff you have to worry about in your underwriting, because basically everybody's bringing in their own house. You're just worried about the dirt and all the lateral, everything that's in the ground, and clubhouses. But the things that people run into, and these are the biggest issues I see people run into, they'll get a park and they're looking at the NOI, and the NOI is $200,000. And they think, I'm gonna make $200,000. I'm like, no, you're not. No, that's your expenses. That's above the line. That's everything up there. Down here is where you gotta pay your debt. Down here, a lot of times is where you're gonna pay yourself too. If you're looking at your expenses and there is no employee costs, if the owner hasn't been paying himself out of there, everything that's left in that NOI is actually their wages and whatever you're gonna call debt service. And so you'll have to know how to calculate that and bring that out of there. Most deals die because of debt service. That's the biggest thing that's gonna kill a deal. Don't get all hyped up that you're making $200,000 until you've looked at what all your money is gonna cost you. And this is the next thing that most people don't do, and this is in every investing thing that we do. We always avoid this one nasty C word. Everybody hates to do this. It's the one thing you should probably be doing right now. At least half of what your time you're spending on your investing is this nasty C word that we call capital. You can't buy nothing if you don't have any money. So you really need to start working on your capital gain.
Yeah.
Figuring out where you're gonna get that money. And unless you've got a big fat pocket full of money, you're gonna need to raise some. You're gonna need to know where it comes from. You're gonna need to know how you're gonna partner with somebody, how you're gonna borrow from somebody, or at least have a down payment for the park. You can get loans on parks. Oddly enough, SBA, my mind is still not adjusted to this. Difference between an RV park and a mobile home park. SBA loans for RV parks, 10% down. A lot of times they're just 10% down. Mobile home park, a lot of times they're up 30% down. It seems counterintuitive because you think the mobile home park is more stable, but the reality about an RV park and what makes them really interesting is you're not getting a monthly rate, you're getting a nightly rate. Okay, so let that settle in. Instead of, now I use an example when I'm talking to my new students. They're trying to figure out, I want to go mobile home or RV. So let's just say you're in a town, this side of the street's a mobile home park. It's got 50 spaces. This side of the street, RV park, 50 spaces. Now, average mobile home park is getting $400 a space for the month. So what's that? 400 times 50, that's 20,000, right? Okay. RV park is getting $40 a night, but they're only 30% occupied. Now you multifamily people are thinking 30% occupancy? That's horrible. But no, actually, they're making the same amount by just being 30% occupied, because that's 10 nights times 40, 400. So they're getting 400 space, so they're making at 30% occupancy the same amount as your full mobile home park. It's as simple as that. So once you go from 30% occupancy to 60, you're making 40, they're just making 20. And so that's why RV parks work.
And the other part about it is the mobile home park is passive income.
Oh yeah.
And RV parks are active income because you are actively working in that business. You're not the only one. You have to have employees. They're going to be actively working in that space. And it is more customer service oriented than a mobile home park is going to be. So that's a big deal. And so if that's not your jam, don't get in it. Go to mobile home parks instead. They're a great asset class as well, so.
Like I said, at the beginning, I'm gonna try to talk you out of getting RV parks. I'll tell you one thing about mobile home parks. There's 45,000 of them. There's only 17,000 RV, but there's 45,000 mobile home parks. nice thing about mobile home parks, like she said, is like the park, so we can live in LA because we got grandbabies now in Southern California. We came off the road, we were traveling full-time, trying to figure out, okay.
7 years, I loved it. I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah, but we're some dumbasses moving to LA, right? They're like, it's expensive here, man, you guys gotta work.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I've got a buddy that's got 151 space senior mobile home park in Canoga Park. That's where we have our meetups. He needs somebody to manage it. I'm like, I'm your guy. So we get to live in LA for free, we get paid, and we also get benefits.
Nice.
Now, 151 space mobile home park, it legitimately takes me full-time and a part-time maintenance guy, and that's it. Every unit in the park is tenant owned, so we fix no units. Actually, my maintenance guy.
Age qualified.
Yeah, age qualified, I'm saying senior, but that's derogatory in California. Senior, age qualified park, I have the hardest time doing that. So, my maintenance guy does all the park maintenance on half-day work. He also runs our other park across the street. He does the maintenance over there the other half of the day. That's all the employees it takes. Now, you're talking about expenses, this is a big provider in these things too. You can usually, if you're just napkin underwriting an RV park and you don't know what the expenses are, and you're underwriting a mobile home park, you can usually shoot somewhere around 60 to 65 on an RV park. You should be able to hit those numbers. You get a mobile home park, you can go 40 to 30. I've got our expenses in this park close to just 30. We've got it down that much. So you know, you're gonna work harder over here, you're gonna earn it, but you're gonna make more money. Mobile home park, mattress money, passive income. You can have a knucklehead like me run it, where I'm actually doing most of my own work. Wait, or in video, I better shouldn't say that. They know what I do. But anyway, yeah, so I legitimately have the mobile home park dialed in enough. I work 2 hours a day. And I'm just there if something pops up.
Nice.
This is mobile home parks. RV parks, it's an 8-hour a day job for the manager, and you've got another person doing another 8 hours after that. You're running 2 shifts. You probably, if there's 151 space RV park, you're gonna need 2 full-time people for sure. You're probably gonna need one part-time person. These are guys you're paying, and then you're gonna pick up some work campers. Now, does anybody know what a work camper is? Work campers, if you're getting RV parks, are the best thing in the world. Work campers are people that are living full-time in an RV, that love to travel around the country, but they know it's expensive, you know, to go here or there to pay the nightly rates. So what they'll do is, they'll come help you run your park for free, for a space.
Most of them are retired,
Yeah,
so they have
retired people.
retirement income.
Yeah, and they just wanna hang out in your area for the season or for 6 months. They rotate. If they like the park, they will come back to your park every season. We had
Or if
people,
they like us.
yeah.
And they-
We had people that would just keep coming back every year, because they liked how you run. So yeah, and that's a free employee. You lose a space, you write that off. So it's free plus an extra write-off, because you're losing money on that space, there you go. So, when you're looking at parks, I'm not gonna get too deep into the financials and all that, but the other thing that we like to do when we're looking at parks is, we love starting off at a 10 cap. Now, you see a lot of parks that are listed, and they usually put in the cap rate. That's
6.5.
yeah, those are crazy. So we use a 10 cap just as a baseline for figuring value. That's not what you're gonna buy it at. If you ever use Crexi has a paid part of it, that's their analytics. And I think the last time I checked, parks were trading at possibly the high 7s to mid to high 8s. They're trading less than a 10 cap, but that's just, you know, as they're tracking themselves. So the reason we start off with a 10 cap basically is we're lazy. Easiest way to figure a 10 cap, you don't have to do any math on it. You take the NOI. Now you got a park that the NOI is $555.55. You take out those pennies, put a 0 there, and this park is worth, I think you can come up with that real quick, $555,000. That's a simple 10 cap. It's easy as that. It works good for knuckleheads like me. We can give an instant valuation. That way I can see if when I'm looking at the NOI and what they're asking for, if we're even in the ballpark. You know, if it's close to 10, we're good. If it's way off, like way lower, then we got some discussions to do. There's a reason. Maybe you missed something. Maybe they didn't put something in the OM. So it gives you a place to start a conversation to explore what's going along with this situation. But sadly, right now, a lot of it is, no, that's just what the seller wants. And they're not ready to sell. This is what we learned to say as we're looking at parks is, they're not ready to sell. Can't force a deal. You can try to negotiate. The other thing that is a big plus, if you can pull it off, is seller finance. But we don't use the term seller finance when we're talking to a seller because they're unbusiness educated mom and pop. Seller finance scares them. Nancy, Earlene here works with a good friend of mine, Nancy, and Nancy's actually the one that really brought that to light to me, is to quit saying seller finance, because it scares the seller. They're not a bank. And all of a sudden you start talking about, they're like, no, I'm not a bank, I can't be a bank, I don't know how to be a bank, I'm barely making it. So what we do say is terms. It's a great way to broach it. It's like, yeah, I could probably get you this much money, but we're gonna have to figure out some terms to make that work. So it is figuring that thing out. And a lot of it is the proverbial bunnies, right? Figuring out, okay, you wanna sell your park, but what's next year look like for you? What do you really need to do? A lot of times it's, yeah, we're old, all our kids moved to the other side of the country, and we wanna get to the other side of the country. Well, where are you going? Tennessee.
Tell them about the board, the reservation board. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
I'm catching up,
Yeah.
so.
So anyway, so simply it's this, so you're figuring out what do they need, they wanna move to Tennessee, okay, you gonna buy a house? What's a house cost in Tennessee? These are questions, this is the best thing, these are your best negotiation tools right here, these are your ears. Listen to them, figure out what they need, figure out what it's gonna cost to get them to move there, and that might be your down payment. That might be, okay, cool, well, let's figure out these terms. You wanna go to Tennessee, you're gonna buy a house, it's gonna cost you $200,000, you need about 100 to move, you need some extra money for the next year, so how about I give you $400,000, so you can get to Tennessee and be happy living with your kids, and then because these are usually older people, they understand a pension, right?
Yes.
They understand getting a pension, so we're gonna put you on a pension plan. And they're like, I get a pension? Yeah, so we're gonna give you this much a month for the next 30 years. Don't talk about some balloon payment. Don't even mention interest rate. Just tell them, we're gonna give you X a month for the next 30 years. Or X for the next 25 years. And a lot of them will say, well, I'm not gonna live that long. I said, not a problem. Here's the smart thing. We're gonna help you get that set up in a trust. You're already gonna have that set to go to whoever you want it to go to. And then if you don't last that long, they're gonna all of a sudden get a call from an attorney that says, look what grandma and grandpa did for you. They set you up with this money every month that's coming to you. What a great gift you can give to them. It's as simple as that. Just frame the terms in a way that allows them to move on, and a way allows you to make money on buying the park. Easy as that. So you were mentioning a
Yeah,
reservation board.
So when, one of the things that, when we were looking at the parks, that people forget about are, most of these places don't have reservation systems.
Oh, yeah.
That is the biggest thing, and so where can you immediately fix a problem is in putting in a reservation system. When we got to our park, it had a whiteboard that had lines on it, like this, and it had lines on it, and if you walked by it would look like this. Who is that?
Yeah, you lose
And
reservation.
when are they here? Oh my gosh, you know, so that's what we came to. And it was like, I don't even understand that concept. It didn't even make sense to me. And so that was one of the very first things that Casey put in practice, was putting in a reservation system, building a website that actually operated those kinds of things. So we were worried, it's like, we didn't have a lot of reservations for Memorial Weekend. We were like, what's gonna happen? And we were brand new, and so, we had no reservations hardly, and so we had how many sites? 36 to fill?
Yeah, 36.
And then, so all of a sudden, all these rigs start coming up the road. Nobody has a reservation. They're all just showing up because they come every year.
Wow.
We had no idea, and then we had to place them all and figure out where they, oh no, I go to this one site every year. It's like, okay, so
your
that's
site.
some of the things that you get to figure out when you get there. And so we really quickly also learned that there's one face of the park. If there's 5 partners, number one, you are not the owner ever. You are the manager. Or maybe you're just an employee. You are not the owner. They will come at you with all their problems, and they'll try and be your best friend, and they'll try and woo you into being their best friend so that they get something for free. That's what happens. Don't do it. So we learned that really quickly, but we were already, they knew we owned it. So we decided that there was one face of the park. Nobody was gonna come and tell Casey that I said something that I never said. We made it sure everybody knew that he was the boss and I just worked there. And so it's like, well, what did Casey say? Well, Casey said, I can't do that. It's like, sorry,
Can't do
you
that.
can't do that. So it was easy for me. Harder for him, but they were, you know, he has a really cool style with people and they liked him, and it was just super easy for him to get them to do what he wanted in a way that they didn't feel like they were pushed.
Yeah.
So if customer service isn't your thing, RV parks are not for you.
Yeah.
Truly.
Or find somebody to run it for you that does understand
That
customer
likes
service.
customer
'Cause
service.
The closest thing truly to, if you had any other business that comes closest to relating to running an RV park, it's running a hotel. Hotel motel, that's that front desk customer service thing. Very, very similar, except for no sheets, none of that crap, none of those maintenance stuff you gotta do. Just check people in, send them to their site, make sure everything's good. 2 other quick things, and then we'll take some questions. When you're looking at parks, there's these 2 things that always pop up that I always think are the stupidest thing in the world, because they're trying to justify the price because you can add 100 more sites because we got 50 acres.
Oh, no, please don't.
No. It's like, if you're not 100% occupied, why would you put in any more sites in?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for it. You got 2 shoes, why do you need 10, you got 2 feet, why do you need 10 shoes? Right? Well, I don't know, I think I probably got more. But at any rate, so that's that thing, don't pay for dirt unless you really know how you can optimize that dirt. A lot of times, it's not putting more RV spaces. My biggest mistake was a park that came to me, it was in Tennessee.
Oh.
It was a goofy park, had very few RV spaces, but it was an equestrian park. They actually made most of the money doing horsey rides. They had a stable, they had 87 acres, and year-round, and their busiest season was in the winter, because people, when it's nice and cool, love to ride horses, because I don't know if you ever, any horse people here? No? Horses sweat. In the summertime, horses sweat nasty. Yeah, ride the horse in the summertime, that's, you know, and if you're taking care of the horse, after you ride it, you better wash the thing. So in the wintertime, it's nice and cool, they don't sweat as much, it's kind of nice, so they made a lot of money on horsey rides, but they also had 87 acres, and they also had 600 feet of highway frontage. That I didn't realize what the value of that highway frontage was. Until a few months later, I spoke with the agent that had it listed, and I asked her, hey, did that park ever sell? She goes, yeah, they sold it. I said, so what'd they end up doing? She goes, they're building houses. I'm a general contractor, I should know this. I said, and I told her, I don't want to know the answer to this, tell me the answer, I don't want the answer, no, tell me the answer. How much does a single family home go for in that area? She goes, you can get a nice home, because this is our customer home area, you get 700.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they figured they could put at least a dozen up to 20 houses along that road. You build 4 and you pay for the park.
Mm.
And then you just become a developer.
Wow.
Forget the horsey rides, hire somebody else to do the horsey rides. So this is that thing with this extra acreage that you have, figure out what the highest and best use is.
Mhm.
It's probably not make your RV park bigger, it may be something else, so. And the last thing that you always get hit with, especially these listed properties, is pro forma. You look at it, the OM on the park, the agents love to put these beautiful things together, and they're always saying, you can raise the rate, so next year you can make this much money, and you can make that much money, and you can do this, it's all this pro forma stuff. What I say about pro forma is, that's admission of the current owner's failure in running their business properly. Because if I can do it, why didn't they do it?
Mhm.
And if it was so easy for me to make money on it, and they didn't do it, that scares me, because maybe it's not that easy. Maybe you actually can't do it. So don't buy on pro forma unless you know it's something you can perform, and don't buy the acreage unless you know what you're gonna do with it.
And one other thing that people forget all the time is check with the municipalities.
Yeah,
If you don't check with what that land is supposed to be used for, you've already missed the boat.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a farmer who found out that he could put a couple of RV sites on his property. So he puts a couple of RV sites, he's making some money, it's like, oh, so he expands, now he's got 20 or 30 sites. Number one, the city or county may or may not know they're doing that. The second thing is, they may know and told him that don't add any more, and when you sell, you can no longer be an RV park. That happens. There was another one that I had
Oh my God.
told
No, this-
somebody,
this is great.
please,
Yeah.
please, make sure.
we're at Squad Up 2024, two Squad Ups ago.
And I'm talking to this gal, and she's like, no, I've done all this stuff, I've done everything, I know this is it, I'm gonna go make this offer. And I said, did you check with the municipalities?
Mm.
And she goes, no, I don't need to, you know, the guy assured me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, remember my comment, check with the municipalities. So she finally realizes I need to check. She calls them and they told her, you cannot hook up an RV into the city water, ever. It's never going to happen. So that RV park was completely illegal in the
Wow.
center of town, thinking it's gonna make money, and they had no rights to the water
Wow.
at all.
Wow.
And so
Crazy.
every single one of those RVs were hooked up to city water at that time. So they were never gonna let it happen after that, so this guy was illegally operating that RV park.
Wow.
Due diligence is important.
And
Yeah.
she's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was just like, thank God.
Yeah, they were ready the next day to go hand the guy money and sign the paperwork. And it's like, nope.
So,
So any questions? Wow, usually we've covered things well and nobody wants to know anything.
or we bored you to
Yeah, we
death
bored
and we
you.
don't know anything.
Wake up! Yeah, question time. No.
Question on, since you covered both types of parks, I actually live in a park up in the mountain community rather than Ashby.
Okay.
Away from here. They began, with their empty land, they put RV spaces in along with the mobile homes. I don't know what they were gonna supplement it or whatever, but,
Hybrid?
Yeah, so some municipalities will allow you to do a hybrid, where you can have, our park up in Arnold, technically with the state of California, was a mobile home park with a, what's the technical term on that? We had a kind of RV allowance or RV exception,
Yeah,
there's some,
exception
they actually
for
worded
RV.
right in our use permit was an exception, we could have RVs on it. We had 2 mobile homes and 105 spaces, so. Yeah, it is allowed, if the municipality allows it. Now, this is another due diligence thing.
Mhm.
You're looking at a park, and as we were looking at a park in Kansas City, I was figuring, okay, if we get the park in Kansas City, I'm parking my RV there. And when I go to Kansas City to work on the park, I got my own home to stay in. We checked with the city, said no RVs on the mobile home park. So it all depends, it's all different across the country. This is a due diligence thing, always see if they allow both or one or the other. So yeah. Yeah, the areas, Tehachapi, I can imagine Tehachapi would allow that. Yeah, so it's kind of a municipality type thing. Yeah, a question back there.
Do you see any differences or crossover between campgrounds and RV parks and requirements locally, like clearing the land and all that?
Expand on that.
Like a campground, you can drive your vehicle into that and park it for the night.
Yeah.
Versus like RV parks, different.
Yeah, so yeah, they'd be a little bit different. When you say campground, you're usually thinking tent camping, right? You're sleeping in, just dry camping, no hookups. And then when you get into RV park, then you're gonna most likely have electricity, possibly water or sewer. Usually electricity, sometimes not water, sometimes not sewer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that help with your question?
Well, I guess because there's like crossover sometimes between you bring your RV in, or you already have like a glamping setup. There's all sorts of hybrid.
Yeah, that's the exact term, hybrid.
Yeah.
So some areas allow, if you've got an RV park, they will also allow tent camping. They will also allow you to put glamping sites on it. This is in your due diligence, finding out what they actually will allow. Some areas will allow only a certain amount of spaces, and they don't really care what you do with them, but you can't add any more. So if you have like 5 glamping spaces, 10 tent spaces, and 10 RV spaces, you're not making much money on the tent spaces, so you want to add more glamping. So you can convert those 10 tent spaces into glamping spaces. So now you got 15 glamping. You still haven't gone over the 25 that they're allowing, and they're usually happy with that.
Can I also ask you, have you seen like municipalities that want you to clear the land for like emergency purposes? Because I think I was looking up in Hawaii, like if you want to do a campground in Hawaii, they require huge amounts of clearing
Right.
for the dirt for the emergency vehicle.
Oh yeah, 100%. Now this is when you get into new building code stuff, where when you're starting something fresh or getting major permits, one of the things you may run into is these added things that they want you to bring into code, and emergency access is a big one. RV parks, a lot of mobile home parks, and a lot of campgrounds tend little tiny roads. You can't get an ambulance or a fire engine through there. And so, they may
They want
require
turnarounds and everything.
turnarounds, big enough access, nobody can park on the street type of stuff. That all becomes very important, so that's a great question, yeah.
Thanks.
And that is one thing that can happen. There is a park in, I think it's North Carolina, we always joke about it, because it was being sold for about $187,000. And then people got interested in parks, and now they're wanting a couple million for it. It's actually a nudist camp. And yeah, it's the craziest thing. I would never own a nudist camp, I just want the towel concession. Not the lunch, just the towels. I just wanna hide them all. But at any rate, so this is the one thing that happened with this park. They now got a lot of attention because people are looking at buying it. People are calling the local government to see, okay, can we do this, can we do that? Now, here's what the local government decided. But they're not a big fan because where it is, kind of a religious area, they didn't realize they had a nudist camp there. And so they said, if you do anything, you have to put in, I think it was at least 30-foot wide roads, all of this type of infrastructure, fire hydrants, everything. You have to bring it all up to current standards for egress, access, and all that. Basically, what they're saying is, we don't like what you're doing. We can't set you down, but we can make it really difficult for you.
Yeah.
And so that's where it is right now. Now it's probably only worth $187,000 because of that.
And then there was one where Casey was looking at that, the owner, it looked like a great deal on paper until he made the next call and talked to the city or the county, whoever it was, and they said, well, you have to put 100 feet of road in And he said, well, you know, gravel it, no,
Asphalt.
asphalt road.
Wow.
Bentonville.
And that is very expensive. And the seller knew and did not share that information at that time that they were entering into a contract. So this happens all the time, and then what they wanna do is retain your deposit. Because you've now exceeded your, due diligence period, and so now they're wanting to keep your deposit. It's like, now you're gonna fight them for the deposit, and
So,
anyway,
yeah, the
it's
big-
just
Yeah, and that's a
gonna
great
get
point,
ugly.
as far as the deposit goes. When I coach people, when they're writing offers, writing LOIs, I always tell them, always protect your EMD. Always put in there, you don't just, if you got a big paragraph on something, put it somewhere in the middle at the end, because nobody reads that says, if for any reason we cancel this deal, we get all of our EMD back. If it's in the paper, it's a done deal at that point. Seller signs it, you're gonna get your EMD back. So protect your money, because it's not like you're putting $2,000 down. We got away with $1,000. They're usually wanting like up to 10%, which can be a big chunk of change, so always protect that. So there was another question.
It's right here.
Yeah, it was-
Do you guys ever do, or do you recommend add value or value add, I guess, like find land and then develop?
Yeah, developing it is there with a lot of research. Developing new parks is a good idea. There are a lot of areas, here's my favorite, I hate telling people my secrets. But find a small town, not a little tiny town, but a smallish town that has a good downtown. You know, it's doing okay, you know, not really like going nuts, but maybe going nuts, but all they have maybe is a couple hotels and no RV park. But they do have a little piece of industrial land that's just around the corner from downtown. Buy that land. Tell the city you're gonna bring tourism. You're gonna bring people to stay in an RV park. You can put an easy 20 on an acre. And so this is what we wanna do. We'd like the city to participate in helping us get sewer, water, and electric. And we're gonna bring people to your city to help support your downtown.
Awesome.
That's the type of places you wanna build, because then the city's in love with it. All the business owners love you. And yeah, it's a great way to do it. If you're looking at buying, watch where Sun Communities is building. Sun Communities is building a lot of parks right now. There's a big RV park thing. If they're building an area, buy a park in that area.
because they're upper end.
Okay.
And they require that the rigs are 10 years old.
Yeah.
To come into their park. They need to be the expensive rigs. So where's the little guy going?
Yeah.
Where's
Go into your
the
park.
kids and
Smart.
grandkids gonna stay? 'Cause they're not staying in that park.
Yep.
So they need somewhere to be.
Yep.
And so try and find that, so.
Somebody else had a question. Yeah.
Yeah, what type of utilities, when you're looking for these parks, should they come with, like a water, electric, and drainage, or?
Yeah, so
three?
the triple threat is the best, sewer, water, and electric. Yeah, you wanna at a minimum have electric and water, and then a dump station
Dump station.
on site. You gotta get rid of the trout.
How much is it to bring those in? I
Oh,
was curious.
so that's a great question. Bringing those in or building a park. Depending, and this is the one thing that is a super depends question, is, when you're going to build or going to add spaces, there used to be a number that we play with, it was like about $30,000 a space. Now that was building a new park, that's dirt cost and all your infrastructure, gravel roads, and possibly a clubhouse and a laundry.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, like California, building a park in California, $60,000 a space.
Minimum.
Yeah, that's new build. So a big resort area wherever it's expensive, you're looking at about 60,000 a space, because dirt's gonna be expensive, all the labor, all the materials, yeah. For our
And so you wanna know what direction of growth is too, you know, and what is gonna support that park. So is it workforce camping, or is it, play camping? And so if they're out for play, what amenities do you have, or what amenities are in the area? And if you can't find those things, they don't exist, and that's not for you. And so that isn't a place to start. building.
But to finish on your question, you asked RV or mobile, same thing really.
Same.
Infrastructure is a pad, hookups, and roads. They both have the same things. So it just depends on, if you're going from new, what the municipality will allow you to do. A lot of municipalities still hate mobile home parks. They are great, affordable housing. They're the quickest to build to actually get people housed. The problem is that old trailer park stigmatism that municipalities have about mobile home parks. You're probably twice as easy to get a municipality to allow you to put in an RV park than you are a mobile home park. The nice thing about the RV park is you usually can start off transient and slowly migrate into long-term stay. So basically you're a mobile home park. So,
But they're staying in their own rig on
there's-
your
yeah,
land.
so it's still the same thing, but yeah. Yeah, but a lot of municipalities, no bueno on the mobile home parks because they're trailer parks and it brings all sorts of violence, drugs and all that stuff, which isn't true. Yeah, and the gold, one thing, you had a great question. The gold standard, if you're looking to buy a mobile home park, buy an age-qualified park. Buy a senior park. Why? Because old people like me grew up paying the bills. We like paying our bills. We get worried if we don't get our statement. In my park, if I don't get my statements out 5 days before the first of the month, people call me, did I miss my statement? Did I miss my statement? They are worried. They want to give me money. And that seniors are the best. They are the least problems. They do not have fast cars. There's not kids riding on the streets all the time, all this stuff. And at a certain point in their life, they barely even come out of their house. And so.
And the other part is, we like quiet too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're enjoying that.
We love when the grandkids come.
Yeah.
But yeah, senior park, I consider the gold. When I look at mobile home parks, I get really excited when it's a senior park over an age qualified park. So, yes, sir.
So if you're, looking for a park and it's cheaper to buy in a rural area, right? If you find the right rates, have you ever seen people have trouble with vacancy in the rural areas, but near like nature and things that are, retired people can do? And then like, if you do get a few bad apples in the park, like how do you manage like dealing with like tenant issues or?
Oh, that's great.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is the thing I love. I love tenant problems. I wake up in the morning and I'm just, come at me hot, man, I'm ready for it. And that's the attitude you have to have when you're running that type of business. You have to be prepared for these things. You already have to have your game on, ready to know, this thing's going wrong, this is what we do. Your standard operating procedures, this is what you do. And in evictions and have to get rid of people, know your local laws. The park we were looking at in Kansas City and Independence, Missouri, legitimately, maximum it would take you is 30 days to get somebody out of the park. Cool, there's a service, you pay them a little bit of money, they take care of all the paperwork. The great thing about using them is, which I also found out in that area, is once they've evicted them, they also garnish their wages. Yeah, like in California, you're lucky to get somebody out in 6 months and you're never getting any money and you just go and write it off.
Except for one of the things that in an RV park, you've already had a contract with them that says, if you don't pay for the time you're there, I have the right to tow you out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you put them on the street. It doesn't matter. It's not your problem. So you make sure that clause is in your deal and they have to go.
Yeah, that's short-term stay, transient camping. Yeah, we call it the 72-hour rule. It's something that you post and you have on your paperwork that says if they haven't paid for 3 days, you can legally
Actually,
relocate them.
California, isn't it 90 days on, there's a transient whole thing that is like up to 90 or 120 days is a transient. Once you hit like 180 days, they live there, now you have tenancy, so you never let that happen in your RV park. Do not give them tenancy. Make them move and they can come back, but they can't live there.
And that's a typical thing that parks will do in Southern California is they give you an 8-month lease because they don't want you to stay 9. 9 is when you get your full residency. Yeah, and so people that wanna live in an RV in Southern California are more than happy to sign an 8-month lease and leave that park for 7 days or a month. Some parks try to do a 1-night thing, but that's too close and you get in trouble with that. And they'll leave for like say a week, they come back, a lot of times they come back to the exact same space, and there you go, another 8-month lease. So they don't gain the full residency, they're able to still stay in the area they wanna stay in, so it's kind of a symbiosis. Yeah, I'm gonna let you stay with me, but you can only stay 8 months, you're gonna leave, but we're gonna hold your spot for you. If I like you, but if I don't like you, oh, I'm sorry we rented your spot. You would have a spot. But that is that thing, and that is that nice thing about that is like, yeah, batshit crazy just left, yay, and somebody stay here.
And that happens, I
Yeah,
mean,
so.
really, sometimes you don't know that the person is not very stable, and so you
You'll
end
learn.
up with somebody.
But yeah, so like I said, I am a operations nerd. I love customer service. Like I said, I'm ready for the problem before it happens. And that's when you're doing either mobile home or RV park. You have to be ready, or you have to train your people to be ready for all these eventualities that may come up. And once everybody knows the process, everything flows smooth. The one thing you don't do ever is accuse anybody of doing wrong. What I love to do is, I just love to remind them of this piece of paper that they signed when they checked in. It's real simple. You checked in, you said you do this, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm not saying you're bad, I'm just trying to help you uphold your honor.
Yeah.
Because you seem to have forgot that you gave your words. And so what are we gonna do? I need a time frame. I'm not hammering you, I'm not doing nothing, I just need to know when this is gonna resolve. Give me a date. You tell me a week. Cool, I ain't gonna worry about it for a week. But on the 7th day, I'm gonna check, if it's not done, we're gonna have a conversation. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be difficult. You just have to be ready for it, have your procedures ready. And as far as evictions go, know your laws, know the triggers, and follow them exactly. Especially in states like California, where it can be a lengthy process. You miss one step, you go to the beginning. If you do everything right, boom, 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 you go to court, the judge looks at your paperwork and goes, dang, you did it right. And they will, we've had this happen in evictions, sitting through the whole thing, the judge is going one after that, one after another. Judge would do this, listen to the tenant. Tenant's like, the landlord's an ass, blah, 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 blah. They didn't do this, they should have done this, and that's why we didn't pay rent.
No.
Oh, no. But, and then the judge would go to the landlord and goes, well, let me see your paperwork. Okay, you got everything documented? Look at the tenant. How soon can you be out? 15 days? I mean, how soon can I send the sheriff? And the tenant goes, oh shit, I lost? Yeah. I can be out in 15 days. Cool. Because on the 14th days, the sheriff will be here. Go ahead.
Last question?
Last question, sorry. We will go all night. I love this. Sorry. Any more questions?
Any questions?
Well, I appreciate you guys sticking through this. You can contact us here. I'm one of those knuckleheads that I love pushing the green button on my phone. So if you call me, I'm gonna probably push the green button, especially if we exchange information and I already know who the heck you are. Okay? So, and I love to help people figure out if this is right or wrong for them. And I will help you, I'll help you evaluate a deal just over the phone. We'll get you going in the right direction. This is what I love about our community. If you haven't read the book, The Go-Giver, read that book. This is how I live my life. This is how I live there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Jimmy, group photo.
Yeah, group photo at the front, but before we do that,